Erin Brinker.
And I'm Tobin Brinker.
And we are on the Brink, the morning show on KCAA, AM 1050, FM 106.5, and FM 102.3. So glad to have you with us on this warm morning. Very warm. It was over 100 yesterday, and I think it's going to be the same today.
I saw for today and tomorrow 103 on my weather app, so it's getting even a little warmer.
Blech. Blech.
So what do you do when it gets hot, Erin?
Wine.
No, really, what do you do? Are you one of those people who goes somewhere, or you go to the pool? What do you do? What's your hack? What's your hot weather hack?
What do I do? I get out of town.
Yeah.
So I'll go to the beach or I'll go to the mountains.
Yeah, you usually go to the mountains. That's your usual.
Yeah, but yesterday we went to the beach.
I know.
But I usually go to the mountains. I mean, I prefer the mountains, but lately I sit at home with the air conditioner on.
Right. Well,
because I'm tired.
And it's tough in the summer because I'm off, and so I'm typically home and I'm running the air, and you get mad because the power usage, and so
I get mad.
Well, you do. I mean, you get frustrated. You're like, Tobin, go somewhere. Don't run our air. And I do sometimes.
It doesn't. It doesn't need to be 72 in the house.
Yeah.
It can be 78 in the house or 76 in the house.
Yes.
With a fan right on
I'm
you.
melting. That's okay.
I'm melting.
I like swimming, and last summer I did a bit of swimming. But yeah, I mean, you got to figure out some way to beat the heat, right?
Yeah.
Because it's going to be hot.
Well, so yesterday we went down to San Diego.
We did, and we had a lot of fun. I thought I had been to the San Diego Mission before. Never been. When we got there, I'm like, I've never been here. And it was really cool. It's a beautiful mission.
It is a beautiful mission. They were having mass, and so we just got to peek inside in between services because it was a Sunday.
Yeah.
But we walked around the grounds, and it was really beautiful. And our girls were able to, kind of learn a little bit more about the history of California and the Spanish missions. And yeah, it was kind of cool. But cool though was not the right word. Slightly inland, it was quite warm.
Yes.
And there was a beautiful breeze. But it was a warm day.
Yeah, it wasn't really till we got right down at the beach at Seaport Village that it was really comfortable cool, right? With that it was cooler with the nice breeze. But when we were at Old Town, there were some moments where the breeze died down. And you're like, ooh, this is warm. I'm not liking this.
Yes, and I came home with a little redness, to prove it.
But then I found my other way of beating the summer heat: ice cream.
That's right.
Maybe I'll have to do like a ice cream week, and I'll have to do like each day go try a different ice cream place, for our listeners, Erin, and talk about the advantages and the disadvantages of each ice cream, the benefits, the flavors,
So you got ice cream yesterday.
I did.
And the girls got ice cream. I did not get ice cream. Ice cream upsets my stomach. I like the Halo Top, which I think is non-dairy.
Yeah. You're having dairy issues as you get older.
I know.
Yeah.
Well, actually, I had the genetic testing done, and I carry the gene or whatever for lactose intolerance.
Yes.
There's actually a genetic reason, and I'm not just being a whiny pain in the neck.
Yeah. So I actually suffer from kidney stones, and this is going to sound funny. I have calcium oxalate stones, but Harvard did this massive study, like 70,000 people, and what they found was actually higher doses of natural calcium actually reduce the chances of stones. Because if you have lots of calcium, what happens is that it gloms together in larger things and passes through your system normally, like in a bowel movement, versus getting into the small pieces that go into your kidneys and come back out as stones. And so,
but that's not true for oxalate because you can't have oxalate.
Yeah, so I have to completely avoid the oxalate, which is spinach and that kind of stuff. But in terms of the calcium, so any kind of milk product. I can have ice cream and cheese, and I should have more rather than less because, if I have too little, then I actually set myself up for problems.
All right. So for people who are interested, and this is from the National Kidney Foundation, and a surprising number of people, more men than women, but women still get them, get kidney stones. And so here are some top 6 kidney stone prevention tips from kidney.org. This is the National Kidney Foundation. Number 1, Don't underestimate your sweat. Saunas, hot yoga, and heavy exercise may be good for your health, but they may lead to kidney stones. Why? Loss of water through sweating, whether due to these activities or just the heat of summer, leads to less urine production. The more you sweat, the less you urinate, which makes sense,
Yeah.
which allows for stone-causing minerals to set and bond in the kidneys and urinary tract. Instead, hydrate with water. One of the best measures you can take to avoid kidney stones is to drink plenty of water, leading you to have to use the restroom a lot. So be sure to keep well hydrated, especially when engaging in exercise or activities that cause a lot of sweating. And I worry, Tobin, that you don't hydrate enough when you work out.
Yeah. So I work hard to drink lots of water, because I am working out a lot. I'm running a lot. But yeah, that is my challenge, right? That is my challenge. And hydration is the number one way to avoid kidney stones. And so, yeah, if you can, drink lots of water.
So number 2, it's not just the oxalate. What? Oxalate is found in many foods, including fruits and vegetables, nuts and seeds, grains, legumes, and even chocolate and tea. Some examples of foods that contain high levels of oxalate include peanuts, rhubarb, spinach, beets, chocolate, and sweet potatoes. Moderating intake of these foods may be beneficial for people who form calcium oxalate stones, the leading type of kidney stone. A common misconception is that cutting the oxalate-rich foods in your diet alone will reduce the likelihood of forming calcium oxalate kidney stones. While in theory this might be true, this approach isn't smart from an overall health perspective. Most kidney stones are formed when oxalate binds to calcium while urine is produced in the kidneys. Instead, eat and drink calcium and oxalate-rich foods together during a meal. In doing so, oxalate and calcium are more likely to bind to one another in the stomach and intestines before the kidneys begin processing, making it less likely that kidney stones will form.
Oh, okay.
So you can
Interesting.
have spinach, but you gotta, put cheese on it.
That's funny. That's funny.
So-
I'm going to stay away from the spinach.
Yeah.
I've actually found to myself to be very sensitive to spinach.
But you
had
eat
some of my-
peanuts, and you haven't had the same
Yeah.
issue. Just spinach, I think, dark green leafy vegetables, but you can eat lettuce. So spinach is really just a no-no for you.
Yeah, spinach has been the one that's when I've had spinach, I've had stones.
So
and
the
it's not been
summer
good.
where you actually had a stone so large it had to be surgically removed, we were eating spinach salads a lot.
We were. And then I learned, oh no,
yeah.
don't do that.
So calcium, number 3, is not the enemy,
I told you to. I told you so.
but it tends to get a bad rap, most likely due to its name and composition. Many are under the impression that calcium is the main culprit in calcium oxalate stones. I still see patients who wonder why they are getting recurring stones despite cutting down on their calcium intake. According to Dr. Jagru, I've even seen patients say their doctors told them to reduce their calcium intake. A diet low in calcium actually increases one's risk of developing kidney stones.
Yep.
You got it here from the National Kidney Foundation and from Tobin.
Yes.
Instead, don't reduce the calcium. Work to cut back on the sodium in your diet and pair rich calcium foods with oxalate-rich foods.
And that's actually been probably the best and biggest thing I've done for myself.
Is low sodium.
Low sodium diet has been a key for me. I have not had a stone, fingers crossed, since I've been on the low sodium diet.
It's funny. We don't add salt. I mean, we do get some packaged foods that have salt in them. Some of them have a lot of salt. But those, you pay attention to what you're eating and when you're eating them.
Yeah.
I don't even remember. We're out of salt, and it's been weeks since
Yes.
we've had salt in the house.
Yes. Now, number 4 on the list, it's not one and done, Aaron. Passing a kidney stone is often described as one of the most painful experiences a person can have. But unfortunately, it's not always a one-time event. Studies have shown that having even one stone greatly increases your chances of having another. Most people will want to do anything they can to ensure that it doesn't happen again, says Dr. Jagaru. Unfortunately, it doesn't seem to be the case that most people make the changes they need after their first stone event. And the bell's ringing for me there because I had multiple stones over a period of years before I finally figured it out and really got serious about making all the changes I needed to make. And so instead, you need to take action. Without the right medication and diet adjustment, stones can come back. And recurring kidney stones could be an indicator of other problems, including kidney disease. Ding, 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 ding. That's me as well. So, it took me a long time to figure it out. And I'm kind of mad at myself because
they're really painful.
They're painful, and I did damage to my kidneys,
So about 15% of kidney stone patients didn't take prescribed medications, and 41% did not follow the nutritional advice that would keep stones from recurring. And what they say, instead, take action. Do what you're supposed to do, like you said.
Yes.
When life hands you kidney stones, don't fret. And the saying goes, make lemonade. It's important to consider dietary remedies along with prescription medications. While it may seem easier to just take a pill, consider a lifestyle change to make an impact on your health. Instead, next time you drive past a lemonade or limeade stand, consider your kidneys. Chronic kidney stones are often treated with potassium citrate, but studies have shown that limeade, lemonade, and other fruits and juices high in natural citrate offer the same stone-preventing benefits. Beware of the sugar, though, because that can increase your kidney stone risk. And if you're a soda drinker, just stop.
Yeah. Sodas were a big problem for me because that was my big part of sodium, right, was in the sodas. You don't realize how much salt you're getting when you drink sodas, and I was drinking a lot of them, and that was a problem.
So they believe that citrate in the urine prevents the calcium from binding with other constituents that lead to stones. And so not all stones are created equal. So we've been talking about calcium oxalate stones. A good urologist or nephrologist will have you capture your stone so they can analyze it, because there are different causes for stones. And in order for you to know, and for your doctor to know what the treatment should be, they need to analyze your stones.
Yeah.
So there are uric acid stones and other kinds, that uric acid is another common type of kidney stone. Red meat, organ meats, and shellfish have high concentrations of a natural chemical compound known as purines. High purine intake leads to a higher production of uric acid and produces a larger acid load for the kidneys to excrete. Higher uric acid excretion leads to lower overall urine pH, which means the urine is more acidic. The high acid concentration of urine makes it easier for urine acid stones to form. Instead, to prevent uric acid stones, cut down on high purine foods such as red meats, organ meats, and shellfish, and follow a healthy diet that contains mostly vegetables and fruits, whole grains, and low-fat dairy products. Limit sugar-sweetened foods and drinks, especially those with high fructose corn syrup. Limit alcohol, because that can increase uric acid levels in the blood, and avoid crash diets for the same reason. Eating less animal-based protein and eating more fruits and vegetables will decrease urine acidity, as this will help reduce the chance of stone formation. And also with higher uric acid, you get gout.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, there's a lot of just, good advice to in avoiding the stones. You're actually saving your body from a lot of other issues as well. So, just good ideas
Just
here.
a public service announcement on this Monday morning on The Brink, the morning show on KCAA. And with that, we have to take a break. I'm Erin Brinker.
And I'm Tobin Brinker.
Like I said, we're on The Brink, the morning show on KCAA. We'll be right back.
With 60 years of fascinating facts, this is The Man from Yesterday. Back in time, June of 1964, goodbye, Twilight Zone, as Rod Serling, whose Twilight Zone is being dropped from the CBS TV schedule, says he really has no TV plans for next season.
You're moving into a land of both shadow and substance, of things and ideas. You've just crossed over into the Twilight Zone.
And from this time in 1995, NBC orders 13 episodes of Third Rock from the Sun. It's a mid-season sitcom starring John Lithgow and Jane Curtin. The sitcom is about aliens who inhabit the Earth in human form.
Hey, sorry about that last song. My mic crapped out.
It didn't crap out, I unplugged it.
That bar over there serves alcohol. Hot diggity. I love this planet already.
And from this time in June of 1971, Uni Records releases a single from a brand new artist. She's from Australia, and we've never heard of her before until now. Olivia Newton-John.
If not for you, babe, the night would see me wide awake. The day would surely have to break.
With more at manfromyesterday.com.
Dahibo Tea Club's original pure Pau d'Arco Super Tea comes from the only tree in the world that fungus does not grow on, so it naturally has antifungal, antiviral, antibacterial, anti-infection, anti-inflammation, and anti-parasite properties. But maybe more importantly, Dahibo Tea Club's original pure Pau d'Arco Super Tea builds corpuscles in the blood, which carry oxygen to our organs and cells. Our organs and cells need oxygen to regenerate themselves. The immune system needs oxygen to develop, and cancer happens to die in oxygen. The tea is great for healthy people and can truly be miraculous for someone fighting a potentially life-threatening disease due to an infection, diabetes, or cancer. Dahibo Tea Club's original pure Pau d'Arco Super Tea is only $34.95 plus shipping. Order now at DahiboTeaClub.com or call 818-610-8088. Dahibo is spelled T-A-H-E-E-B-O, so DahiboTeaClub.com, 818-610-8088.
This is KCAA.
Welcome back. I'm Erin Brinker.
And I'm Tobin Brinker.
And we are on The Brink, the morning show on KCAA, AM 1050, FM 106.5, and FM 102.3. So absolutely glad to have you with us this morning. So Tobin, you picked the next one.
So the city of San Bernardino has updated their vendor permit process, Erin.
Okay.
For vendors, for street vendors. And I kind of like this idea. You know, I think that we see a lot of people sort of doing this anyway. And it's nice that the city's now sort of getting in line with, I think, with what the community wants. So in response to several recent food vendor gatherings downtown, San Bernardino city leaders on Wednesday updated the sidewalk vending permitting program to encourage and streamline registration. Now, Councilman Fred Charette voted against the move. According to a staff report prepared for the city council meeting, San Bernardino has had firm restrictions in place for temporary sidewalk vendors since 1983. Violators have had their items seized, destroyed if they were perishable, and have received misdemeanor citations. City staffers say that such a stance was taken to curb blight and support traditional brick and mortar businesses. The enactment of Senate Bill 946 on January 1st, however, limited city's ability to regulate sidewalk vending, a move that was intended to promote entrepreneurship and economic development opportunities for low-income and immigrant communities. So over the past few months, sidewalk vendors have organized food nights in downtown San Bernardino, attracting scores of residents and the occasional city leaders alike. On May 1st, policymakers reviewed a proposed ordinance regulating the practice. Spurred by community activists who called certain permitting requirements too restrictive, elected officials had staffers craft a more relaxed process. The whole idea of having a more permissive attitude for entrepreneurs who are taking it upon themselves to really revitalize and re-energize downtown San Bernardino is something that we have to support, Councilman Henry Nichols said. So on Wednesday, city leaders approved the permitting process that does not require vendors to undergo background checks or provide their Social Security numbers or a copy of their individual taxpayer ID. Also of note, prospective vendors will not be denied a permit due to past convictions. Per the ordinance, sidewalk vendors must provide the city personnel identification, a list of items they intend to sell, and evidence of health permits and seller permits as required.
So the thing about it is that if you own a restaurant in San Bernardino, you have to go through a pretty lengthy process of opening up. You get the health certificates, et cetera, and it's good that they're requiring this. I don't want I'm all for entrepreneurship. I'm all for sidewalk vendors, but I don't want them pushing out the brick and mortar vendors.
Yes. So what this is I actually went the first weekend that they had this going. They basically sold it as a taco night, right, in downtown San Bernardino, and they basically took over the parking lot next to City Hall and the convention center in that area. And there were supposed to be a couple dozen, and maybe a dozen is what actually showed up. And there was some really good food that you were able to get for a relatively cheap price. And there are no restaurants right there in that area. They were not taking business away from or competing against the businesses right there. And there were a group of people that were really pushing it online, right? And so that's how I knew about it. It popped up on my Facebook feed, and I kind of wanted to check it out and support it. And the food was good. And so I kind of like that idea. But I think you're right, that if they were to set this up right out in front of a restaurant where they're competing, selling the same stuff for less and whatever, I think the restaurants would have a good reason to complain. And I suspect that you'll see a back and forth on these ordinances as issues like that arise. I'll tell you what I see, though, right? When I'm out running in certain neighborhoods, I've seen people literally set up in their driveway a little taco cart, right? And they're selling tacos to help subsidize their family's income, And this was all done sort of illegally under the table against the regulations before. Now, I think with the regulations is easier the way they are, it shouldn't be hard for these people to get it together and go do that.
The other thing that I'm seeing that I'm seeing people say on social media and on this article as well in the San Bernardino Sun is that this is under the table business. So, the restaurant owner who goes through the process of founding a restaurant, he has to pay taxes.
Yeah.
He has to pay sales tax. He has to pay income taxes to the state and to the feds, whereas this guy who sets up a rolling cart who doesn't have to provide any taxpayer information, that's all under the table.
Yeah, it is. And I was thinking that as I was reading this, that's by getting rid of the requirement for a Social Security number and a taxpayer ID number, you're basically saying to these folks, we're not gonna regulate you in terms of whether or not you're actually collecting and paying taxes, right?
Yeah.
And so that makes it definitely a little shady, especially in a city that is needing tax revenue. Why would you be encouraging people to do things that are going to,
have them fly under the radar?
Yeah.
Well, it also allows them to set their prices lower than the brick and mortar businesses, so that the city is then allowing a street vendor to get away with undercutting, so the city is then picking winners and losers. I don't like it when the government picks winners and losers.
Yeah.
Have rules straight across the board, have rules. And so, so that everybody has to comply with the same rules. I don't like this is going to undercut the more permanent business, the people that have invested in the city. And I don't like that. I'm all for entrepreneurism. I'm all for that. And maybe you gather the local, nonprofits, or you work with the small business development, the SBDA or whatever, and you find microloans for people, but they need to comply with the same rules that everybody else complies with.
Well, it looks like the only laws they're going to force them to comply with are the health ones, right?
Yeah.
That they have to prove that they have the food vendor's license, the food handling license, all those kinds of things, so that they're actually doing.
Well, they
that
have to do that
properly.
because that goes through the county, and the county's not going to waive that. Thank God.
Yeah, but the reality is that a lot of this stuff is under the table now. I haven't been watching the council meetings closely, but I suspect that we'll see former City Attorney Jim Penman popping up at a council, because he is one of the people who pushed for these tight restrictions on these kinds of businesses in the past and used his office aggressively to go after these people, right? And he had almost like his own little army of investigators who would go out on a weekend, right, and look for these kinds of street vendors and cite them and arrest them and, do those things that they mentioned in the article, like take away their food and destroy it, And so
at least let them take their food home.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of rotten.
Yeah. Well, I'm just letting you know.
I understand, but you've now stolen from them.
Yeah, but I think that the pendulum swings, right? And so right now it seems like they're much more liberal on these issues and saying, hey, they're calling it entrepreneurship. You watch until suddenly some businesses are being negatively affected, or somebody gets food poisoning, or something happens. And then all of a sudden they're going to say, "Hey, this is a bad thing."
But you don't know who they are. You don't know what they're just gone because you didn't. I mean, they could make up who they are, right?
Yeah, they could.
So, with that, we need to take a break. I'm Erin Brinker,
and I'm Tobin Brinker,
and we are on the Brink, the morning show on KCAA. We'll be right back.
KCAA Loma Linda, 1050 AM, K292 FQ Riverside, and K293 CF Moreno Valley.
NBC News Radio. I'm Lisa Carter. Well wishes are going out this morning for former Boston Red Sox star David Ortiz, who was ambushed and shot at a bar last night in his native Dominican Republic.
The news prompting an outpouring of support on social media. Former Red Sox teammate Pedro Martinez writing, "I'm at peace knowing you are out of danger. You are a strong man, compay. Can't wait to hear your voice." Fellow slugger Alex Rodriguez writing, "Anxiously awaiting for more news. In the meantime, only prayers for David Ortiz, Tiffany, and their family."
NBC's Miguel Almaguer. Police say one man is in custody while another is still at large. The House Judiciary Committee opens a series of hearings on the Mueller report today.
NBC legal analyst Danny Savallo says while members will not hear from former special counsel Robert Mueller himself, they will hear from a host of other folks.
None of these witnesses are what we would call percipient witnesses. They didn't observe a crime in action. They don't feature prominently in the Mueller report itself. They're not participants, but they really are more about giving a seminar into their personal vast experience on obstruction.
The top witness at today's hearing will be former White House counsel John Dean, a key figure in the Watergate era. Mike Bauer, NBC News Radio.
American Airlines is grounding its Boeing 737 MAX jets through September 3rd. In April, the airline originally grounded the jets through August 19th. In a statement, the company said the extension of the cancellations will give staff and customers more time to plan their upcoming travel on the airline. The 737 MAX has been grounded worldwide since March after 2 fatal crashes. Software changes have been made by Boeing, but the FAA, as well as its global counterparts, haven't signed off on the fixes. And it's on to Game 7 in the Stanley Cup Final. The Boston Bruins beat the Blues 5-1 in Game 6 in St. Louis last night, tying the best-of-7 series. Game 7 Wednesday in Boston. You're listening to the latest from NBC News Radio.
It's time to take a look at our roadways. I'm Erin Brinker. In Temecula on the 15 southbound at the 79 South Temecula Parkway, an accident has been cleared. Stop-and-go traffic is backed up from the 215. In Ontario on the 10 eastbound approaching Vineyard Avenue, a crash is now along the right shoulder. Also in Ontario on the 10 westbound approaching Haven Avenue, a crash is now along the right shoulder. And in Corona on the 15 northbound after Temescal Canyon Road, an injury crash is now along the right shoulder with slow traffic from Indian Truck Trail. Traffic stays busy up to the 91. This has been your traffic report. Drive carefully, everyone. I'm Erin Brinker, and this is KCAA.
From the KCAA Weather Center, I'm Lori. Sunshine for this morning with your high in the afternoon in the mid-90s. Mostly clear overnight, your low in the low 60s. Sunshine on Tuesday with your high in the mid-90s. Tuesday night, mostly clear. Wednesday, sunshine with your high in the low 90s. Wednesday night, mostly clear with your low right around 60. I'm Lori, broadcasting live from the Tri-City Center at the 10 and 210 freeways. We are the trifecta of talk in Southern California. KCAA 102.3 FM, Riverside 106.5 FM, Redlands, and the Legacy 1050 AM, Loma Linda, San Bernardino.
Hi, I'm Phil Graney, philsgang.com. If you want the truth, then tune in my show every weekday at 3 p.m. Eastern Time, or you can listen to this fantasy.
Wow, low unemployment, high jobs, high wages, big consumer confidence, major productivity, and no inflation.
No inflation? What are you, nuts? Stocks up 357%. Gasoline's up 46% alone since December. How about medical? Up 8%. College up 8%. Movie tickets with soda, popcorn up 15%. Low unemployment? Not true. The 3.9% is fake. It's really 11% because of the 15 million discouraged workers they do not add in. Look, this is just some of it. High wages, that's a joke. It's 1.2%, not 3%. When you look at the withholding tax where the truth is. Join my gang, philsgang.com, and get the truth.
For more information, go to philsgang.com or give us a call at 877-600-GANG. 877-600-4264. 877-600-4264.
Drivers, when it's time to visit the DMV, avoid the long lines and save time by calling toll-free 833-DMV-LINE. That's 833-DMV-5463.
Welcome back. I'm Erin Brinker.
And I'm Tobin Brinker.
And we are on The Brink, the morning show on KCAA, AM 1050, FM 106.5, and FM 102.3. So KTLA has a story that California will become the first state to pay for some adults living in the country illegally to have full health benefits as the solidly liberal bastion continues to resist the policies of Republican President Donald Trump's administration. Democrats in the state legislature reached an agreement on Sunday afternoon as part of a broader plan to spend $213 billion of the state and federal tax money over the next year. The legislature is expected to approve the deal this week. The agreement means low-income adults between the ages of 19 and 25 living in California illegally would be eligible for California's Medicaid program, the joint state and federal health insurance program for the poor and disabled. Only those in that age group whose incomes are low enough to qualify for the program would get the health benefits. State officials estimate that the group will be about 90,000 people at a cost of $98 million per year. The state Senate had wanted to expand that proposal to include adults 65 and older, but the Newsom administration argued it would cost too much because that's really when your people are the sickest. California believes that health is a fundamental right. Said State Senator Holly Mitchell, a Los Angeles Democrat who led the budget negotiations. The move is part of a larger effort to make sure everyone in California has health insurance. The proposal also makes California the first state in the country to help middle-income families pay their monthly health insurance premiums. It means a family of 4 earning as much as 6 times the federal poverty level, or more than $150,000 a year, would be eligible to get about $100 a month from the government to help pay their monthly insurance premiums. But to pay for part of it, the state will begin taxing people who don't have health insurance. It's a revival of the individual mandate penalty that had been at law nationwide under former President Barack Obama, and that's until it was repealed in 2017 by the Republican Congress.
Fascinating. So California is going to have their own sort of little version of this, huh?
They are, and you have to say, so for the people who are 25, so 18 to 25, what are the things that they would normally typically see? So it would be accident and injury, pregnancy, and then some for illness treatment. But if it's an age group, it's a pretty healthy age group.
It is,
and so. State of California. I mean, the reality is that people show up at the emergency rooms right now.
Yeah.
And so somebody must have done a calculation. I'm not convinced that we can afford it, but it looks like it's happening.
So it makes me think about when I was a young man and I was an exchange student in Australia. And my first or second week there, I think it was my first week, I got asked to go riding motorbikes out in the wilderness. And I got injured. And they took me to a hospital and did an x-ray on me, and thankfully I didn't break any bones, but I did sever my calf muscle, and
Ow.
Yeah, very painful, and had to have some medicines and some things done, and of course x-rays are not cheap, and I never got a bill. And of course in Australia they have what we would call here socialized medicine.
They have single payer health care.
Single payer, and it's just sort of baked in the cake for the people's taxes, and so it's handled sort of very differently. As a young man, I really didn't give much thought to it, because I'd never had to pay for my own health insurance at that point here in the United States either, because I was still a kid basically, and my parents were covering all that. But it was a benefit. It was a real benefit that I didn't have to worry about that. I was already in pain and dealing with the injury. To have to be complicated now on top of, well, how am I going to pay for, maybe a couple $1,000s of medical treatment, this is fascinating to me. It always I want to see how the numbers work out, though. California has been sneaky in the past, they'll raise the taxes, but then the money will be diverted for other things.
Right. Right. Well, I don't imagine they'll get much pushback in this state.
Yeah.
The Republican Party is basically irrelevant in this state at the moment. So I don't know that there'll be a little bit of noise on social media, but I don't know that it'll cause an uproar. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah. Interesting. Well, at least they didn't go all the way. You know, this is as you said, they didn't go to people of all ages. Later in the article, they say that Newsom opposed going all the way for all these people, the adults in California that were here illegally, because it would cost $3.4 billion.
Yeah.
Right, and he said that's just too expensive.
So they picked the least expensive age group.
Yes.
Because children are already covered.
Yes.
So
interesting.
Very interesting. So Tobin, you're next.
Okay, so I went and saw a movie, Aaron, and
did you like it?
I did, but I have to say that of the X-Men movies that I've seen, the movie was Dark Phoenix, that it was probably my least favorite.
Why?
I feel like they really didn't come up with a very interesting story. You know?
I think that's true of all of them.
Yeah, and so they I don't know, and I also think that some of the actors kind of phoned it in a little bit, like they just really didn't have the kind of connection.
Sansa was in the movie. How'd she do?
So she's the main character, right, in this movie. She is Dark Phoenix, and she is not the most emotionally relatable person as an actress. She comes off a bit cold, right? And the Jean Grey character can be that way, but when Famke Janssen played that character in the original X-Men movies, because this is like a younger version, right? It was better. I don't know how to say it. It was a better actress, a better version of that character. And I don't know. I didn't find it as compelling. Now,
is it because you just had the End Game?
Game of Thrones?
No, End Game.
Oh, End Game. Yes. Well, End Game was fantastic.
And so anything after that, and this is pretty close after that.
Yes.
That is like, oh.
Well, I will tell you that in terms of the action sequences and that kind of stuff, they did a fabulous job, right? And so, you really get to see these wild sort of characters with their powers, and they came up with some really dramatic, exciting action sequences. But I found myself not really liking the characters. And Professor Xavier, right, is always been sort of a key character, and I really didn't find him particularly good in this one. I don't know. There was a variety of things that they did.
So that's James McAvoy, right?
James McAvoy, who I like as an actor.
And Michael Fassbender is a phenomenal actor.
And he did great. I thought Fassbender was awesome.
Jennifer Lawrence?
Okay, so Jennifer Lawrence, I think, is really good. And I don't want to ruin the movie for you, but I just don't like what they did with her character in this movie. There's just a bunch of things that. So I enjoyed the movie. I would not give it I would not tell people not to go see it. If you enjoy the X-Men movies, you'll probably enjoy it. But if I was to rank it, like of all the different X-Men movies, it's going to be in the middle to the bottom. It's not going to be the great one, and that's sad. I mean, because this was sort of the final one for McAvoy, right? Like he said, I'm done doing that character. And it was, I think, meant to end this sort of iteration of the X-Men characters, right? So they had done the original one when they were sort of older.
Yeah.
And then they did the flashback one with now these are the younger X-Men, right? So this is like prequels. And that's what this one was. And I think this iteration is now sort of done. And, they may come back, but I think it'll be with different actors, and they'll do it, like they do. They'll do a reboot. Right?
So are you blaming this on Sophie Turner?
No, I'm not.
Okay.
I'm not. But I think that it was a culmination of a lot of stuff. I think the writing probably, the story itself wasn't as well done, and they didn't give you a hook with a particular character to root for, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they just didn't take the time to sort of build that at the front end of the movie of who's the real hero here and why you want to like them and root for them. You know what I mean? And they should have done that with the Sophie Turner character, Dark Phoenix. She's the key character in the movie. But they really didn't do that. And they could have done that through her love interest. They could have done that through a variety of things to make her more sympathetic, more relatable. But they didn't. They just sort of threw her into the action, and then you're off to the races.
Well,
and it's good action.
The most popular movie of the weekend, or the this weekend opening, was talking animals. It was The Secret Life of Pets 2. Now, and I think it's because there hasn't been a really good kids movie for a while.
Yeah.
And it was a hot weekend in many parts of the country, including California, or it was raining, so bad weather. And I think that people really liked The Secret Life of Pets, so people went to the movie, and it did really well.
Yeah. Yeah.
And are we finally getting to the end of what people will tolerate for comic book movies?
I don't know. So there are still a couple of movies out there that I haven't seen that I kind of want to see. Kind of want to see the live action Aladdin just to see how Will Smith does as the genie, you know?
Yes. Well, and last week Todd talked about Godzilla. He enjoyed it.
Yeah. And I kind of like those Godzilla movies, but I'm kind of saving that one because I'm thinking maybe my son and I might go see that.
Oh,
you
nice.
Because like Father's Day's coming up, and that's the kind of movie he and I kind of would go see. You know what I mean?
Are you hinting?
I don't know. Andrew Brinker, if you're listening, take your father to see the movie Godzilla. Dun dun dun. King of the monsters. Yeah.
I'll send him a text message. So,
anyway, but yeah, I was not I was maybe a little low-key disappointed with X-Men, just because
you had high expectations.
I had high expectations.
But again, I wonder, because coming on the heels of the Endgame,
yeah,
where it was such a big, it was a huge movie, everybody loved it, and yada yada yada, and it was the best thing ever, and then now you have this one.
Yeah, so in Endgame, it's a giant ensemble cast, and they give you lots of characters to root for, right? So if you're a fan of any one particular character, you really are getting something from each one of them, right? In this one, it really is about her, and the other characters are really in supporting roles to the stuff that's happening to her and what she's doing, what she's going through, and I just didn't feel like they took as much time with it.
So that'll be the final word in this segment. We're going to take a break. I'm Erin Brinker.
And I'm Tobin Brinker.
And we will be right back.
The Tri-City Shopping Center in Redlands is serving up some really cool ice cream at La Micho Acana. Then get your chocolates and other delights from C's Candies. Moms and future moms who visit the mall can cool off and relax while they get treated like royalty at Shiny Nails or Francis Nails, and then pampered at Texture Hair. The Tri-City Center is filled with retailers who care about you. Shop at the Tri-City Center in Redlands and see why they call it the Mall with a Heart.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us if you want Viagra at the lowest prices. Never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 800-357-1583 today to save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 800-357-1583 to take your call now. Call 800-357-1583. That's 800-357-1583. Again, 800-357-1583.
Welcome to the Thom Hartmann Program. I'm live right here, Monday through Friday.
Are you ready for the #1 progressive talk show host in America?
71% of people say that the information they get from their friends and family they take more seriously than the stuff they read in the media. Only 42% of Americans think the media is the most credible source of news. And therefore, if you're informed, if you're awake, you need to be telling your friends. You need to be talking to your friends and family.
24-time New York Times bestselling author and has nearly 6.5 million listeners nationwide.
These are crimes. These are international crimes against humanity. And I would love to see somebody held to account in this administration.
Introducing Thom Hartmann on KCAA Radio, weekday afternoons starting at 2.
The Inland Empire's radio home for the Dave Ramsey Show.
If you want to mess around with the Bitcoin thing and you're in that world a little bit, that's fine. But don't put your freaking life savings in it, doofus.
KCAAradio.com.
Broadcasting more local radio programs than any other station in California, we are KCAA.
Welcome back. I'm Erin Brinker.
And I'm Tobin Brinker.
And we are on the Brink, the morning show on KCAA, AM 1050, FM 106.5, and FM 102.3. So the death of racehorses continues at Santa Anita Park. It's crazy.
Yeah, I don't understand. Why are all these horses dying, Erin?
So, in an unprecedented move, the California Horse Racing Board asked Santa Anita to cancel the remainder of its season, now 6 days, in the wake of more horse deaths over the last few weeks. But the track's management said no. It has to be that, we've talked about how they drug these horses so these horses don't feel pain.
Yeah.
And so they run far beyond, because they're not feeling pain. Pain is there for a reason, folks.
Yeah.
It means something on the body is hurting. That means something on that was redundant. It means something on the body is injured. And so when you have that pain, and if you think about if a horse is about to break a leg, that pain would be excruciating, except they're so medicated they don't feel it.
Yeah. But you've got to think there's got to be something physically wrong with this track, right? That the ground's uneven, that there's some sort, maybe there's a gopher problem, and there's a little step in gopher. I don't know. It's got to be something that's actually causing these horses to get the injuries, whether they're drugged or not, right?
So 2 more horse deaths over this weekend raised the total to 29 since December 26th, when the track opened for the season. It closes June 23rd, leaving little time for further action by the board. The CHRB is a regulatory agency, but does not have the power to suspend a race or meet or remove race dates without approval of the track. So it's a regulatory agency that has no teeth.
Yeah. No, it can make regulations. They just can't enforce them. So,
right.
Whatever.
Yeah, exactly. So basically, that's exactly right. Because they said to Santa Anita, we want you to close because you keep killing horses. And Santa Anita said, nah.
Yeah. Well, actually, I guess they do have some teeth, because it says further in the article that it requires that they cannot do it unilaterally without the track's approval or after a public meeting. But the public meeting requires 10 days notice under state law. And Santa Anita's season ends on June 23rd.
Right.
So they could post and have the meeting, but they wouldn't be able to close them quick enough.
Why did it take them so long?
Exactly.
So, so the Stronach Group, along with Thoroughbred Owners of California and California Thoroughbred Trainers, released a statement Sunday after racing ended that said, in part, after extensive consultation among all partners, Santa Anita Park will stay open through the end of the meet to see these reforms through. It's all about the dollars, folks.
Yeah.
The release went on to cite improvements in the number of catastrophic injuries since earlier in the meeting, and that other improvements and changes have been effective. The latest action came after Formal Dude, a 4-year-old gelding, was euthanized after sustaining an injury during a mile dirt race on Saturday. The presumptive diagnosis is a pelvis injury. Pelvis injuries can be challenging to diagnose, mostly because the signs can be confused with muscle conditions or other lameness. With few exceptions, fatal pelvic fractures have pre-existing stress fractures at necropsy.
So they're saying that it had happened previously. This wasn't something that was.
Yeah. On Sunday, Truffalino, a 3-year-old filly, was pulled up and cantered toward the finish line before jockey Joe Talamo jumped off. The horse then collapsed and died.
Wow.
The death will be a 3-year-old filly, for crying out loud. The death will be reported as racing fatality with a notation that it was sudden death. So do they have these horses hyped up on speed?
Yeah.
And so the horse basically had a heart attack? Because
Wow.
why would a 3-year-old filly die?
Yeah.
I mean, horses can live longer than 20 years,
So-
folks. There's no reason for a 3-year-old filly to die.
If you were a person who owned these expensive racehorses, would you be racing at this track?
If I could still get my insurance money and I was paid well, maybe.
Wow, okay.
Because they don't see these horses as living, breathing beings. They see
just
these
a
horses as
meal ticket.
a meal ticket.
Money.
Yeah, it's like a race car.
Yeah. Wow. It's been shocking as each story has come out about animals passing away. The Associated Press quoted Kathy Guillermo. She's the Senior Vice President of People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals, PETA, is saying on Sunday, either the rules aren't strong enough or the rules aren't being followed. She says Santa Anita needs to listen to the California Horse Racing Board and shut down.
So I wonder if insurance companies will then start saying, nope, we're not going to. We ran at a track where 25 or 30 other horses died. We're not covering this death. Then
Right.
what would they do? Because I know that all these horses are insured.
Yeah. And I got to wonder if maybe that's where some of the pressure is going to come from, right? The insurance groups are going to say, hey, look, you're costing us a fortune here. This is a scam, right?
Yes.
But at least they're doing autopsies, right? They're having to figure out something afterwards.
I'm just disgusted by this.
There's a picture at the top of the article, with these horses running, and they're such beautiful animals, Aaron. And it just breaks my heart to think of so many of them dying.
So this article's in the Los Angeles Times.
Yeah.
And these animals are magnificent. Absolutely magnificent. And it's just heartbreaking. It really, really is. So it looks like there's going to be a new area code for the 909.
Really?
Yeah.
What's the new number?
It's going to be something else. I'm sorry.
It's going to be a number.
It's going to be a number. So, no, the new area code could be in place by summer 2020, so next year, 2 years after North American Numbering Plan Administrator, or NANPA, introduced the idea of overlaying the 909 region with a fresh code. The 5-member California Public Utilities Commission could approve the request as early as Thursday. And so existing 909 code holders would not lose their number. So it would be for new numbers. So it'd be overlaying, which means every time you dial, you would have to dial the 10-digit number, which I do on my cell phone anyway.
Yeah.
And so
we've already kind of got that going on anyway, because we still have some old people that have the 714, and some people, and we're 951s, right? Those were overlays that they did, aren't they?
No, 951. No. This could be, so your neighbor moves in to the house next door to you and gets a brand new phone number. It could be the new number.
Gotcha. So I now remember when they did the 951, if you lived like in the southern part of San Bernardino, you got the 951, because 951 was like Riverside.
951 is Riverside. If you live in San Bernardino County, you didn't have 951.
Yeah.
It just, with our cell phones, they arbitrarily just did a split.
Yes.
And so we, that really wasn't tied to geography. Now you can pick your cell phone number. Like you can pick your area code that you want. And so we have 951 because back then both Riverside and San Bernardino County were 909. And when the split happened, we were just randomly assigned 951.
When I first came to California as a kid, we were 714.
We were 714.
And then we were 909. And now we're 951. And now we're going to be who knows what, Aaron. They just keep changing on me. Aaron.
But when we had a landline, we were 909.
We were 909.
Our cell phones are 951.
So confusing, Aaron.
Not that I'm going to give out my cell phone number. It's 555-1212.
No, it's 8675-309. Is that your number?
Please don't call that number. Please don't call that number. So with that is not our number. So with that, it's time. We're at the end of our show for today. I'm Aaron Brinker.
And I'm Tobin Brinker.
And we are On the Brink, the morning show on KCAA. Have a great Monday, everyone.